In this video, we're going to go through lead generation. We're going to go through how to build a lead form campaign and how the nuts and bolts of that works. The whole idea of what we're trying to do in this lesson is figure out how do we put an advert in front of someone that is going to allow them to provide their information so we can contact them outside of a social platform, i.e. outside of Facebook or Instagram. So think of it like this. We want to show them an advert on their phone or on their laptop that basically says, look, do you want to provide the following bits of information to this company in order for them to contact you in the future? Now, if we're going to do that right, we usually need to think of a couple of things. Number one, we want to make sure we're targeting an audience that has got some kind of awareness of who we are and some kind of rapport built. That means that we want to target people that we know are already engaged with our company for some reason. And considering that further, ideally, we want to be targeting people on the warmer side of that spectrum. Now, it definitely depends on what we're doing and what we're selling. For example, if we're trying to give 20% off a first haircut or a first meal, or maybe we want to give a free coffee to the first time someone comes into a store, there's no reason why we can't run lead generation campaigns to a cold audience who don't know about your brand. But in general, when it comes to people deciding whether or not they're going to provide their personal information to a company, there usually needs to be some form of trust there. And that's really where we look at what we were talking about before regarding strategy. But let's actually dive in and let me show you how to go about building one of these campaigns. When we open up the ads manager, hit create, and you're going to remember the different objectives that we can choose. Now, if you go down to where it says lead generation, you hit this button. This is the objective for making lead form campaigns. So let's just go ahead and call this lead generation test. And just like before, we get to choose whether we want to do an A/B split test or whether we want to do campaign budget optimization. We've been through that in previous lessons, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit continue. Now, of course, this is where the targeting comes in. So just like before, it's exactly the same kind of thing. We're just going to go ahead and build an ad set. We're going to find what target audience do we want to put this lead form in front of. Once we've gone through and done that and we've chosen the audience that we want to target, it's going to take you to the last stage, which is the ad level. It's actually making the ad. And it's fairly straightforward because it's very, very similar to the ads we've built previously. We want to choose the pages that this ad is going to run from. And then we want to decide whether we want to have a carousel ad, which is where people can swipe through a number of images. We could choose whether we just have one single image or a video. And this is where we go ahead and choose our media. So just for example purposes, I'm just going to use this little picture that we have already, but bear in mind, this is the place where you want to showcase exactly what this offer might be. And it's important that we get this right. I would tend to say that video content is really good here. Something that's going to explain exactly what value you're giving in exchange for these people giving you their information. So this advert is going to be the main focal point for you to try and make that trade. And you want to be bringing as much value as you possibly can to make sure that those subscribers feel like it's worthwhile joining your mailing list. So one thing that's handy to know is if you have a video that might be a vertical crop that was designed for Instagram stories, or it might be, like a 1:1 ratio picture, which would be square, you can customize how they look in different placements by hitting this arrow below. For example, if I hit here the feed, which is your 1:1 crop or a square picture, this is going to show me a preview of how that's going to show within the feed. And it does allow me to go ahead and maybe change the picture for a specific type of placement, i.e. Instagram feed, Facebook feed, and so on. It does allow me to go and crop it in different ways. So this is kind of handy if you do want to just make some small edits. That's a new feature that you're going to be able to access. And it just means that you can check that your advert is displaying properly in the different format. There's nothing worse than if you make a video or a picture that's cropped to a particular format to find out that when you start running the adverts, it's showing up strangely, or it might be cropped incorrectly because different placements have different crops of images. So it's worth checking that stuff. Don't forget, you do have this little option down here where you can choose the different placements that your ad shows, for example, the Facebook and the Instagram, to just get an idea of how your advert's going to display. And it is really worth checking this stuff. So when it comes to making an advert, you're going to remember before that usually we could choose between creating a brand new advert that would be displaying as a dark post or a blind post, which basically means you've created something that's going to be hitting people's news feeds, which isn't a post from your page. It's out there on the internet. Or you could choose an existing post, which meant this was a post that you have put on your page and now you're running some spend behind it to get it more exposure. When you're making a lead forms are always dark posts. You can't post a lead form and then promote it from your page. Lead forms only exist as dark posts. So that's important to remember. As we go through making our lead form, this is where we put the primary text, and this is where we've really got to start thinking about our offer and what we're going to do. Now, this completely depends on you. This depends on what your business is, what you're selling, what kind of conversion you're after. Do you want to be showing people blog articles to teach them about your product? Do you want to be getting people signing up in order to give them a discount on something? Is there some kind of exclusive content that you want to show them? You know, whatever the reasons, you've really got to think about what value you're giving and then try and put that value across as best you can. So just for the sake of showing you how this stuff's made, I'm going to put here in the primary text, get access to the latest articles on online marketing. Direct to your inbox each week. Join our mailing list. Now, obviously, that's a pretty bad offer, but I'm just trying to show you how these things are made. So there you go. You're going to see how this primary text populates, and you can check different placements to see how this is going to look. And when it comes to the headline, this is the main body of text that's going to show near the sign up button. So for example, if I put sign up now, you're going to see this populate in this little area here. And a little description, and bear in mind these don't show on all placements, so don't put vital information in here. As you'll see, this description is going to show up in Facebook feeds. It won't show up in Instagram feeds. So all of the important vital information of what value you're giving always needs to be in the primary text. So just for example, exclusive access only to subscribers. And there you go, we're going to see that populate down here. So we've got an advert that's looking pretty good here. Our next step is thinking, well, where's the actual lead form? Where's the thing that pops up and asks people to put their information in? That is right at the bottom of the ad. There's a new section that you're going to see at the bottom that says instant form. So before we do that, we can put a display link, which is essentially just a placeholder link. That's going to show you the URL for display purposes. So I'd recommend that it connects with your company. And then you do have the ability to change your calls to action, which is, if we remember before, the button that takes people to go and do something. So sign up is definitely a good shout because it's quite clearly saying that you are signing up to a lead form. I'd recommend using that. That's why it's set as default. But you can use other ones. Maybe if you have a discount code, you want to put get offer, or maybe your ad is revolving around getting a quote for a product or free downloads or booking at a restaurant or booking an appointment for any business that does that sort of thing. You can use this. I actually use this myself when it comes to hiring. If I'm looking for staff, I will make a lead form and I will put apply now. So people who come across an advert for a new job, they can go into a lead form and they can put their information in. I can ask any questions I want about that potential employee. So this is really, really good for job recruitment. And at the bottom here, we've got subscribe if you're looking to, I mean, that could really work in this example that I've given you. If I'm giving people the latest access to articles on online marketing, this could be something where the subscribe button would work well. And as you can see, it's populated down here. So let's just leave this for the moment as sign up. You can customize colors in the background of your stories if you want to. That's pretty simple. You just click here and you go ahead and choose the colors if that's important. Going on to branded content, if you are featuring other brands and products from other companies, it's important that you click this because you're going to want to make sure you're tagging the page of the business that you're representing. I'm sure for most people watching this, you're selling things on behalf of your business, in which case you can just leave this blank. So now we move on to actually making a lead form. So this is where you're going to see this new option down here, instant form. Now you're going to see other examples of lead forms I've made before, for example, the one about the new job. And these are previous leads that I've made in the past. Something really important about this: once you've made and named a lead form, you can't go and edit the name. Once you've actually done a lead form, you've made it and saved it, it's kind of set in stone, and it's a real pain to go back and try and change things. So do bear in mind, when you make a lead form, be careful to get everything right first time, because if you get it wrong, you're gonna have to make a new lead form. So clicking this button here is going to bring up the option to make a new lead form. So I'm going to be really careful about naming this right, and I'm going to look down to content. Now, the first thing I'm going to be asked is about form type. I wouldn't read too much into this, and I'll tell you why. The form type gives you different options between getting more volume, getting more people subscribing in, or do you want people to have a higher intent, which means that they might have more questions and more things to go through, and the process of signing up is that little bit more difficult. You know, you've got to decide which one of those things you want. Now, there's pros and cons on both. My recommendation is that you make the process of signing up as easy as possible for people to do, and you don't make it difficult. Now, that might be very different if, for example, you are selling extremely high-end goods. You know, maybe you want to really make sure that if someone's interested in your company, you want to put really high barriers of entry, and they want to take ages with lots of intricate questions because you just want to try and carve out anyone who's not extremely serious about a product. So that's where the higher intent option might make sense. For most of us, we're going to go for more volume, because it's better that we pull subscribers in and market to them and see which ones react and which ones don't, and potentially delete the ones that don't and focus on the ones that do, instead of making it a difficult process. So my recommendation is that we always use more volume as our selection here, because choosing this is going to automatically populate the data fields that you're asking for. So what I mean is, when someone sees your advert and then they click on the lead form to sign up, they don't need to go and type in all their information. It's going to automatically fill in because the information's already there in their Facebook or Instagram profile. It auto populates that stuff. And that means that they're going to go through that process of signing up quicker. And the added bonus is that they're very much less likely to put bogus or wrong information in, which some people do, especially if you're giving discount codes. So in short, when it comes to the form type, I would choose more volume. But now you understand why higher intent might be applicable to you in some rare cases. Moving on to the intro, this headline is going to describe exactly what they're getting for signing up to this list. What's the discount? What's the free product? What's the exclusive content? What are the free training videos? You want to put that stuff in here. So let me just put exclusive access to training articles as a silly example, just to show you what I mean. You're going to start to see these fields populate in our preview here. This is what our lead form is actually going to go ahead and look like. And we can change and update the image. For example, you can see here that the recommended image size is actually 1200 by 628. Mine is kind of like a square crop, so I've got these horrible gaps in the side. I might want to go ahead and make sure I have an image that fits the proper specifications. And this really comes down to you, your brand, your aesthetic, and your design. You want to make sure that these images and videos are kind of cropped to the best way possible to make these placements look as good as possible. When it comes to the layout here, you can choose bullet points or paragraphs, because this is where you can outline more details on the offer, giving a more in-depth explanation on what the subscriber gets. And if we just go ahead and let me just show you, just for the sake of it, you can go ahead and put this in bullet points. You get the idea. So this is a really good way to outline the many positive points of value that these people are going to get when they subscribe to your newsletter, mailing list, whatever you want to call it. So now we move on to something called questions. This is quite simply, what do you want to know about your prospective subscriber. So that could be something really simple like what their email address is, what their name is. So by default, the headline here is going to say sign up by providing your info below. And you can change this to anything that you want. For example, please provide your information below. And as long as the tone and the aesthetic is right for your company, you can edit it and put whatever you want. Moving down to the information that you want to ask for, you have the ability to ask questions, which means you can put different contact fields, like you want to ask for their phone number. You're going to start to see this populate down here as you put more and more questions in. You might want to ask for their work information if you're looking for a new employee. This could be questions about their relationship status, whether they're in the military. It could be things like where they're based, what their zip code is, their national ID number. Now, the cool thing to bear in mind is, aside from all of the typical standard questions that you might ask someone about their personal information, as a business, you can sit and really think about what questions you might want to create for potential customers. Now, one example is if we think back to the video when we were talking about strategy and I brought up this idea of the art gallery, we decided that one of the questions we could ask when we were giving away a free digital exhibition was, what kind of exhibition? What kind of photography or what kind of art are you into? Similarly, if you're a personal trainer, what kind of exercise do you want to do? Running or weightlifting or HIIT sessions. There's a lot you can do here in order to firstly learn about your audience. For example, you're going to start to see how many people are signing up for maybe different courses or wanting to know different bits of information, or maybe signing up to get content on specific products. So firstly, you're learning a lot about what the demand is. But secondly, it's allowing you to segregate audiences on the other side. Now, what I mean by that, if we look at that example with the art gallery, we actually now had different exhibitions for these different customers that we could provide value for them in the precise way that they wanted it. So this is just a really, really good way to learn overall about exactly what the best practices for your business could be. So sit and really have a think about what potential questions you would want to ask potential customers about their experience that they're wanting from you. And then this is where you can choose short answer questions. For example, what is your favorite color? And this will give a little entry field below for them to put a custom answer of their choosing. So maybe you are selling paint for kitchens, and maybe you have a big range of colors, and running these kind of lead forms would start to isolate what the possible most requested colors when considering a large group of people, which might help your business get the right kind of stock. As well as that, it's obviously going to maybe change the way you market or present your brand because you know where the demand is. Just as a silly example, but I hope that makes sense. When we look at questions, we can also have multiple choice. How often would you like to receive articles? For example, every day, once a week, once a month, once a year. And as you move on, as you can imagine, this is going to be a drop down that people can now choose from the selections that you have. Let's say you're a barber. You might want to choose what day would you typically want to have your hair cut. You might want to think about shop selling computer games. What console do you use? This is really all about you and how you want to use this stuff. I'm just showing you the mechanics of it. And moving down to adding more questions, you have something which is a conditional question. Now, conditional questions are really, really useful if you are maybe selling products that have lots of different variations. So maybe you're an aquarium selling different kinds of fish, different kinds of sizes of fish tanks. This is where you can basically make a little table of all the different types of products you have. So let me use the example of a online store selling t-shirts, and maybe I also have sweatshirts. So what I could do is I could go and make a little table of the different types of products I have, t-shirts and sweatshirts. Then I might choose to have a different column with the different colors available of those t-shirts and sweatshirts. And then I might even have a third column of the different sizes of the different colors of the different t-shirts and sweatshirts. When it comes to conditional questions, you've got to answer the first one before you can answer the others. So you need to know whether you want to buy a t-shirt before you choose what color that t-shirt is going to be and what size that t-shirt is going to be. So the questions are conditional that the first ones have been answered. So when you see it laid out, it's a little bit clearer. Here is an example of a little table of t-shirts. So I have some t-shirts to sell. I can have red t-shirts or I could have yellow t-shirts, but the t-shirts come in 3 sizes. I have small, medium and large for my red t-shirts, and I also have small, medium and large for my yellow t-shirts. And I have green sweatshirts in small, medium and large, and I also have black sweatshirts in small, medium and large. So if I go and upload my little t-shirts table that I've made, you're going to see that these columns have populated as conditional questions. So as I go through, it's going to say, look, do I want a t-shirt or a sweatshirt? Well, look, I want a sweatshirt. As you remember, I think the sweatshirts were black or green, and I'm going to choose that I want to have a green one. And then I want to have a large. And that is conditional questions. Really useful for people selling online product, especially if you are going to be giving a discount or giving new information about maybe a product you have, or maybe even a future product drop where you might be running, say, a pre-sale campaign. How cool would it be to maybe run a campaign like this to say, for the first 50 people who sign up, you're going to get 20% off my next jumper design or my next item in my merch line. And as people are registering for that, you can see exactly what sizes they're going to want. So this ties in again to how we can learn a lot about the potential buying behaviors even before we have stock. You might have 50 people sign up who all want a medium t-shirt, so you don't need to waste your money buying large or small ones. Or if you do, at least you can figure out how you want to spread your stock, maybe figure out what the most popular colors are. Conditional questioning is really, really good for people selling products online. The last kind of question that we have here is about appointment scheduling that can draw in the information from your business page about your opening hours, and it allows people to just request time. So for example, what time would you like your foot massage, and there you go. It's going to provide them a confirmation message that you can edit if they type in, for example, that they want to choose 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. And we'll see how that works when I show you the lead form preview. So that kind of summarizes where we're at with questions, and you can see all of this stuff populating below. And I know we've got a weird company starting here because we're asking about t-shirt sizes, what their favorite color is, and then we're asking them about foot massages. But the point is, I'm giving you the example of how the mechanics of this works. When it comes to how you want to use it, it's exactly down to you and what you're giving. So the privacy policy down here is quite important. This is where you are going to go to your website and you're going to paste in the page where your privacy policy sits. And this is important to comply with data protection and GDPR rules. So wherever your privacy policy is, this is where you want to link it. You want to take your privacy policy link, and then we are going to go and paste the link in here. And the link text could be as simple as click here for our privacy policy. If you don't have a privacy policy, definitely do go and find one. There's plenty of templates out there. I know this isn't the most exciting of things to do, but it is important that you are abiding by the current legislation when it comes to data protection. It is important that you do that. And coming down to the custom disclaimer, this is where you can add some of your own legal jargon if you feel that it's necessary, just to make sure it's really clear exactly what you're going to be doing with people's data when they provide it. Lastly is the thank you screen. This pretty much is a customizable last screen that's just going to show up to say, thank you, we've received all of your information. And then here is where you might want to put a button to go and maybe download something, maybe get the number for your business, or go to a website. Bear in mind this little link here you can put to whatever you want. So maybe you have a private link on a website that's only accessible to people who have come through this exact lead form. Maybe you want to measure that traffic separate to a different lead form. It's really, really up to you. There's lots of ways that you can use this, but this rounds up how to actually construct a lead form. So at this point, I'm going to go up here and finish the lead form. And there we go. There it is. That is our lead form. This is the preview of exactly what it's going to look like. So if I go and put this live now, we are going to see the campaign, ad set, and ad level, as we're pretty familiar with at this point. And let's go and have a look at exactly how this displays. So again, going to the ad level and hitting edit on an ad is going to bring up the preview of the ad. Now, clicking this little arrow up here is going to allow us to show this ad in situ in different placements. So I'm going to have a look at what this looks like on Facebook. And here we go. This is how it will show in people's feeds as they're scrolling through their phone, or if they're on their laptop like I am right now. This is transparent digital services. Get access to the latest articles on online marketing direct to your inbox each week. Join our mailing list. Not the most incredible image to use as an ad, but you get the idea. As people go and click this button to sign up, we have our lead form. And as you can see, like I explained below, the information has been pulled from my Facebook information. And here we go. What's your favorite color? Well, it's orange. And how often would I like to receive articles? Once a month. And I can now choose, well, I want my green sweatshirt in large, and I would like a foot massage on the 20th of April at 11 a.m. If I go ahead and submit that, I've got my terms and conditions page. I can see the privacy policy if I want to. I'm going to go ahead and submit, and I should get a thank you screen. And there you go. Thanks, you're all set. Your info's been sent, and I can go ahead and view this website if I want to. Maybe this is a place where I could put an offer in to go to that private page, which is just for subscribers. It's really up to you how you use this. Clicking the button here is just going to take me to the website by default, and there we go. So now you're in a position, you know how to build a lead form campaign, you know how to build the ad and actually get that running. So that's going to start serving out to the ad set that I defined, and as people see that, they're going to start signing up. So how do you access the leads? If we've been running that for a couple of weeks and 100 people come and sign up, where do we actually find that information? So I want to show you a campaign that I made that looks like this. Now, this is a lead form that I've made, and what this is doing is this is going to people that have watched 75% or more of this video when we built the campaign before. So naturally, I'm actually using a little snip from that exact video to make sure that that brand recall is there, to make sure when they see this lead form, they would remember, yeah, this is that music video I remember seeing last week. And the idea is I've put together in my ad copy something along the lines of, I'm sending out my album for free, I'm announcing exclusive live events and debuting new releases. I'm trying to make it really valuable for potential subscribers to come and get involved with my product. And then in the lead form, if I show you what it looks like, it is talking about exclusive content, signing up, getting access to this digital pack. And I have made a custom question, which is, what is your nearest major city? The reason why is because for all of these people listening to my music, I want to know where they are, because if I'm ever going to go and tour there, I want to be able to know that I could, for example, target people in Glasgow about a show in Glasgow. Now, this is obviously really handy for people who might be content creators, people who might be selling products online, and you want to know where the demand defined for this stuff is, for example, with postage and packaging and all of those different questions. So I want to show you what the leads look like, because this campaign has been running for quite a while now. And you're going to see, if I go to the ad level, I can see my ad and I can see the different insights that we have. Now, I can see that I have in the results column 1,352 people that have subscribed through this lead form, and I can have a look here and I can see my reach and impressions. I know that on average it's cost me 78 pence for each one of the subscribers that have come through. I can see my quality, engagement and conversion rate, and there we go. If I click on this little link here, this is where I can download my leads. Now there's something really important that I want to bring up at this point. Due to GDPR, the different regulations that come out, you cannot download leads from more than 90 days ago on Facebook. This is vital that you know this, because these rules change often, and if you don't actually download and save the leads somewhere secure, you're not going to be able to get them in 3 months' time. Facebook won't let you access them. So do make sure that you're downloading your leads regularly, and ideally you're automatically importing them into a database. Now that's what we're going to be dealing in the advanced course, because essentially what I'm talking about there is something called a CRM. That is a customer relations management system. It's kind of like a database that keeps track and tabs of what customers have done regarding your business. And it is possible that when someone signs up through a Facebook lead or signs up through Instagram, it is possible to build an automation that takes that data and automatically fulfills a database that you can keep and that you can manage. So that's something we can talk about later, but the important thing for everyone watching this now, if you're building lead forms for your business and you're getting subscribers in, make sure to download them regularly and keep them organized properly, because if you leave it for 3 months, it's just literally wasting money. So please do be warned about this, because this is a common pitfall that we do see new marketers fall into. So when it comes to downloading the leads, you can choose the date range that you want and you hit download. It's as simple as that. And when these leads download, all of the different questions and the different things that we've asked are going to be shown in different columns. So this is what a typical CSV download will look like. And by CSV, all I mean is comma separated variable. It's a file type, and it's a file type that works with lots of different programs, whether you're on a Mac and you're using numbers or whether you're using Excel. The whole idea is whenever you're moving data around like this, it's typical to use a .csv file. So a little bit of a side note, but if you are ever uploading these things, whether it's a custom audience in Facebook that we did before, or whether you're uploading things into an email provider, make sure that you're saving the file as a .csv. Don't leave it as a XLS file, or don't leave it as a .numbers file. Make sure you export it as a .csv, because these platforms always tend to operate around that file type. And not an Excel or a numbers file. I hope that makes sense. So here we're looking at a download. This gives us the user IDs, the time that they signed up, the ID of the advert that they signed up from. This is the name of the advert that they saw. And as you go on and on and on, you start to find the important stuff. Here's the nearest major city information. This is the email addresses, the first names, the last names, and the phone numbers. And of course, I can now go and pick up the phone, talk to these people, or start sending them my newsletter. The whole idea is whatever the purpose that you displayed in your lead form, this is now where you can access that information and actually start working on your leads. So for a lot of people watching this, you might be using third-party mail platforms. Maybe you're using Hive or MailChimp or something similar. There should be some pretty straightforward walkthroughs from those providers on how to take a table like this and upload it into your mail provider. That's really where we round up our talk about lead form generation. So I hope that's helped, and I will see you in the next lesson.